Hey YouTube, Gallagher123123 back with a series taking a look at the latest version of iOS. Now, it's been a few years since we've done one of these. We last did this in 2022 when iOS 16 was released. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do this for 17 and 18 and 23 and 24. I don't know why, things were just a bit crazy, but we are back finally to do this again this year. It is September 15th, 2025, and we have another iOS release to take a look at. And this one offers some really cool new things. So I'm excited to bring this one to you. Now, before we get too into it, a few things. First, this is iOS 26. Now, you might be thinking, wait a minute, didn't you say you did 16 3 years ago? I did. But this year, Apple has changed up the numbering for iOS. I think we were all expecting that this would be iOS 19, but at WWDC, Apple announced that they were transitioning all of their software to kind of a year-based numbering system. And the version number would represent kind of the next year. So iOS 26, well, of course, the next year is 2026. Now, actually, if you are a JAWS user, this might feel quite familiar. It's very interesting. Freedom Scientific has been doing this for quite a while now. So it's kind of interesting to see Apple do this and make this change. Now, the thing I love about this change, though, is all Apple platforms have the same version number. Use an Apple Watch? Well, guess what? WatchOS 26. macOS 26. It just makes for a very easy to remember number. What are you running? Well, 26. So, I quite like it. I am doing this series a little bit differently this year. I've decided instead of kind of trying to show everything that's new and covering a ton of things, I've been running this update for a while through the beta cycle. So what I'm going to do in this iOS 26 series is show you the features that I like and think are the most useful and the things that I'm using every day. So this first video, though, will be a bit more of an introduction to iOS 26. I'm going to take you into VoiceOver settings and through the What's New section, so we can find out what's new there. And I'll briefly highlight some of the other features of iOS 26. Let's get into it. I'm going to unlock my iPhone 15 Pro Max, which I'll be using to do these demonstrations.
12:35 a.m.
Okay, and I'm going to go into VoiceOver settings using my 4-finger swipe up custom gesture.
Settings, back button.
All right, here we are.
VoiceOver, heading, VoiceOver. VoiceOver speaks items on the screen. Tap once, double tap to learn more. What's new in VoiceOver?
And right here we have a What's New in VoiceOver link. This was added for the first time with iOS 18 last year, but they have, of course, updated this for iOS 26. Let's take a look.
Close, VoiceOver, heading. What's new with VoiceOver? Not Magic Tap. Customize Magic Tap behavior in VoiceOver greater than commands greater than Magic Tap.
So we can now customize Magic Tap. I'll show you that in a moment.
Copy speech rotor. Manage recently copied speech phrases and choose what to paste.
There's some options for if you use copy spoken, what VoiceOver speaks to the clipboard. There's some options there.
Reset VoiceOver settings. Reset all VoiceOver settings with the press of a button.
You can now reset all of your VoiceOver settings.
New Indian voices. VoiceOver now supports additional Bangla, Gujarati, Hindi, Marathi, and Punjabi voices.
And we now have some new Indian voices.
What's new with Braille in iOS 26? Heading.
Now, Braille, we do have some new things. Now, I'm not going to go too in-depth in this series, but one of the new features in particular is really cool.
Braille access. Quickly access Braille notes, BRF files, and more anytime using your Braille display.
In fact, there it is, Braille access. It's like you're in a very Braille-based environment. It's really cool. It has a calculator, a notepad. So if you have a Braille display connected, you can take advantage of that.
Item overview. Read the first few cells of multiple items at once using item overview. Press dots 6, 7, and 8 at the same time to toggle item overview. Customize commands. Customize commands for Braille screen and Braille keyboard input in VoiceOver greater than commands greater than Braille screen and Braille keyboard input. More Braille commands. Map Braille chords to more VoiceOver commands. Braille keyboard input. Turn on Braille keyboard input to use the home row of your keyboard to type in Braille and use Braille commands. Single hand Braille screen input. Use Braille screen input in portrait orientation with single hand mode. Double tap and hold with 3 fingers to start single hand mode and type a column of dots at a time. Slate and stylus style input. Customize single hand Braille screen input to slate and stylus style and Braille screen input settings.
So you have a single hand Braille screen input method. I haven't tried this yet, but a few friends have, and they really like it.
Dot position learning. Turn off learn dot positions to fix the Braille screen input dot positions to where you calibrated them.
Okay, dot positions.
Korean Braille input. A new dot position learning. Turn off learn dot
It can
positions to fix the
learn,
Braille screen input
basically.
dot positions to where you calibrated them. Korean Braille input. A new Korean 2024 uncontracted English table is available to input Korean in Braille.
And there's a new Korean Braille table. And that's it. So the list of changes for VoiceOver are very minimal this year, but that's okay. All right, let's back out, and I will briefly show you the Magic Tap setting that we have.
Back button.
So if I go to Commands,
Adjust speed. Braille. VoiceOver. Verbosity. Audio. Commands. Button.
there's Commands.
Touch gestures. Button. Keyboard shortcuts. Commands are prefixed with the VoiceOver. Magic Tap. Button.
And we now have Magic Tap.
Media playback. Switch button. On.
And basically, this allows us to turn off media playback. So if we don't want the Magic Tap to do that, we can
Off.
turn it off, but I like that on.
On.
I am so used to Magic Tap, I don't want any changes.
If enabled, Magic Tap will pause or play media when no other action is available. If enabled, Magic Tap will pause or play media when no other action is available.
And there's a description of that. So that is what I wanted to show you actually on the phone. Go ahead and lock my screen for now. Now, there are some other features in 26, of course. The Messages app now has polls. Group messages have typing indicators. That's really nice. The polls, I think, could be a little bit better, but they're there if there's something that you would like to use. The big thing with iOS 26 is that there's kind of a new visual design, which Apple calls liquid glass. Now, it doesn't affect VoiceOver use, but I'm not sure kind of how it will work for those out there who use Zoom or more visual ways of interacting. But with VoiceOver, it has really no effect. So I can say that. A lot of the changes I feel are just good quality of life in 26. Now, another feature I like that we'll definitely be taking a look at this one is there's call screening now, so that's cool. I just remembered you can now also change your snooze duration. So if you use the wake up alarms at bedtime or other alarms, you can change the snooze duration. And personal voice was introduced with iOS 17 2 years ago. Well, it got a major update in 26. I didn't use it in 17 or 18, but I've heard what it sounds like, and it wasn't great. Well, it has changed, and of course that can be used with VoiceOver, although we will take a look at that actually in the next video. And unfortunately, it's quite a sluggish experience with VoiceOver, but I still want to show what that sounds like, so I will do so in the next video. So stay tuned for that. Other things that we'll take a look at in 26, you can now add ringtones directly on the device from the share sheet. This is really a long overdue feature, but I'm glad we have it. Now, when I cover it, I'll mention a few caveats, but overall, glad we have that. And finally, the other thing I will mention is the music app. Got some very nice changes. You can now pin your favorite albums and playlists and content that you like to listen to. You can get easy access to that now. So that is another option. But for me, a very important change, and I cannot wait to demonstrate this because the way Apple implemented it on the iPhone is fabulous. You can now sort your playlists into folders. Now, there was a way to do this before, but it only worked if you had a computer. You could make them on the computer and they would sync through iCloud, but you couldn't add new ones. Well, now you can, and it's a really nice experience. I'm looking forward to showing you that as well. So that's a little bit. I'm sure there are things I'm missing. 26 is just overall a very nice upgrade. And I'm looking forward to showing you, like I said at the beginning, this little mini-series will focus on my favorite features, and I plan for these to come out throughout the day today. So you'll definitely want to stay tuned and enjoy learning about iOS 26 as you prepare to update or explore. And as you do so, of course, I'd love to know what you're finding you're liking in 26. So feel free to share that with me in the comments. And all right, I think that's going to do it for this kind of introductory video to my iOS 26 series. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.
Thank you for watching this video. If you found it helpful, please give the video a like, subscribe, and click the bell icon to get notified about upcoming videos. Follow me on Twitter at Gallagher123123. You can also find me on Mastodon at Gallagher123123 at dragonscave.space. Thank you again for watching. We will see you in an upcoming video.